What's up, world-renowned family? Neal Jr. here. I am with my friend and insurance expert, Robert Lewis of Robert Lewis Insurance Organization. We're just going to have a quick conversation, Robin, and we're going to let the people listen in because when we spoke last, I said I have some questions for you, but our time had already expired, right? So, wanted to get a few minutes of your time because I also think, well, I know that what we share here is going to be valuable to any viewers of this video. So first of all, Robin Lewis Insurance Organization, could you just tell everyone just a little bit about who Robin Lewis Insurance Organization is and what you all do?
Thank you, Neil. And it's certainly good to be with you here. And I appreciate what you are about and the people who are listening to this, the people that are within your sphere of influence. I know that you are about adding value to people. So I'm glad to come alongside of you today, sir. So Robin Lewis Insurance is an independent insurance agency. So meaning that we represent many carriers and we specialize in homeowners, automobile, and business insurance, as well as commercial property. And so we can help people to shop and find the right product, the right insurance at the right price for them.
Okay, so that means if whether it's auto, homeowners, if I have questions, if I need insurance, I contact you, your company, and you all are going to find whether it's progressive, right, flood, whatever, you all are going to take care of all of that for me, get me the best product, correct?
That's correct. That is
Okay,
correct.
perfect. All right, so we're in some different times, both in just the economic standpoint, real estate, and therefore insurance, than we have been, than I think many of us have ever seen, right? But you have years of experience here. So could you just tell us what's going on in the insurance industry right now? What's the good, the bad, the ugly? What should we be aware of?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and definitely things have changed. And so what's happening right now, the property insurance market, as we you and I have known, this has been happening now for the last few years, has gotten to the worst I've ever seen it, Neil. We've had seven companies, approximately, I don't want to say wrong, seven companies that are gone out of business. They're no longer around. And so the carriers are struggling to actually remain profitable. And, we face the typical things here in Florida and in particular South Florida, the hurricanes and storms and that type of thing. But what's really created a major issue is litigation, and it continues. And so Florida has 8%. Just to give you some numbers, some quick numbers, Neil. Florida has 8% of the claims in our nation, property insurance claims in our nation. But that number of 8% represents close to 80% of the files that are in litigation in our nation. So 80% of the files that are in litigation in our nation are in Florida. And you know what happens when, attorneys get involved and so on, there ends up being a lot more money paid out. And that's created a major problem in the insurance industry. Now, you and I haven't spoken about this. The governor called a special session, and effective July 1, they signed a new property bill into law. And it's designed to help. We believe that there are some of the things that they've done there. One of them, for example, is with assignment of benefits. Assignment of benefits is one way that attorneys, get involved. Somebody might come knocking on a homeowner's door, telling them they can get them a new roof, and they're working in the area, and let the insurance company pay for the roof. Just sign here and we'll get it taken care of for you. And oftentimes what they're doing is they're signing over an assignment of benefits. And so they're assigning the benefits of their policy over to this third party. And then that's when they're taking that and then they're filing suits against the insurance companies, whether the homeowner wants to or not, because they've already signed over the benefits. And so that's kind of what's been happening. So one of the things that they passed in this law is that you can no longer collect attorneys' fees when you have an assignment of benefits. And but that's something that was signed into law, but it probably won't actually help because the current policies don't have that yet. So as policies renew, that's something that will then be put into those policies. And so we're looking at maybe 12 months to a year and a half before we see relief there. But there is some relief coming, but we want to see more. Because what's happened is that the market is of such that rates are doubling and tripling, and companies are still struggling to try and stay in business. And just recently, you probably saw it in the news, just last week, that there is a company that rates insurance companies. In fact, they have become sort of the rating company for the Florida companies, because a lot of the companies that are writing property insurance in Florida are your regional type companies. And this company had sent out letters to 17 companies, carriers, saying that they were going to downgrade their financial rating. And if this had happened, Neal, they would have downgraded their financial rating to a place where Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac would not accept it. And so it could have been chaos. I mean, it could have been some big time trouble. I was at a conference just last week, and the number of policies that would have been affected is over 2 million. So you can imagine 2 million policies trying to be transferred over to Citizens. It would have been chaos.
Okay, Robin, let me just interrupt you for a moment, because I know you said we have 7 companies, 7 carriers, I believe, that have gone out of business. So let's say I'm one of their policy holders, right? If I'm under them, what do I do? What happens? Does my policy just go away and now I have to find other insurance? Is it being transferred? What's happening then?
Yeah, that's a good question. Unfortunately, they're given time, but for the most of them, if not all of them, have been less than 30 days. And so what's happened is that the homeowner with their agent has to now scramble to try and find replacement coverage in less than 30 days for thousands of policies. And so they're given time, but not, quite frankly, not enough time. So it became a scramble. And there was one, the most recent one was Southern Fidelity Insurance Company, for example, and the most of those policies were being written over to Citizens, and because there wasn't enough time, and then Citizens had a systems problem, they had to extend the time in which you could write the policy and then backdate it to the date when it canceled.
So, is there something that, because I know this video is going to be watched by homeowners or buyers, is there something that we can do as a homeowner or a buyer when we're selecting insurance along with our agent? Or is there any way to tell that these companies were going to go out of business, or is it just one of those things because of the claims and the litigation where they're just getting hit with so much that they had no other option? Or are there precursors where, if we're getting the information, looking at numbers, premiums, is there any way that really indication that we could tell how strong a carrier is or not?
Yeah, it's a great question again. And yes, there are indicators that you can look at, but unfortunately, and that's one of the challenges now that people are, when I say people, I mean the insurance commissioner, the governor, insurance carriers are challenging this company that rates carriers because they gave no warning. They said that things were going to happen, but in other words, let's say you have ABC Company. ABC Company can be rated at an A, which is their top level, and then all of a sudden they can go from an A, and on what they were talking about is now, in a matter of days, reducing them to an S, just like that. And so that's one of the concerns that people have, is that there should be some time given, right? So that's one of the challenges that they're making towards a rating company now. So the point is that with some of those carriers, you have no clue that that's happening. You have no clue. A couple of the carriers actually came out and said that they were two of the ones I can speak specifically to, who were one of the 17 that were supposedly going to get downgraded. They specifically said that they've never been in a better position financially than they are today.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't understand being downgraded when they're in a better position than they have been. And so, they're apparently things that they look at are how many policies are being non-renewed, how many claims that they have, and some other things where it's not a true look at the financial position of the company, because that's what you want to look at. So some indicators that somebody can look at when they're looking at a company is how much surplus they have. So surplus is the amount that they have available, readily available to pay claims. So the more surplus you have, obviously, is a stronger and better position you are in to be able to pay claims, right? So that's something you want to look at. But unfortunately, that's not making there are companies that are in a strong position that were supposedly going to be downgraded.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. Right,
so it's a little bit of a challenge, but the good news is that, because that really would have been like a bomb, dropping a bomb here in Florida. You can just imagine 2 million companies, mortgage companies wouldn't accept those insurance companies because of their rating. And so they'd be forced. So those companies, you can't stay in business if you can't have a viable policy to offer. And so that would have been chaos. And two things have happened. One is the company that does the person who is in charge of that company that does the rating has postponed those making that rate that changing their rating. And number two, the insurance commissioner and the governor and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have come up with a plan that if it were to happen and a company were to go insolvent, that they have a plan where Citizens and FIGA would step in and make it good. And so the plan makes it acceptable now to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So thankfully, there's been a Band-Aid sort of put on that. But the point of it, the real underlying point of it, is that companies are struggling. And if we have hurricanes come this season, for example, that hit us, that could change the whole dynamic again even more.
Yeah.
But the main challenge has been the litigation. I think I may have shared this number with you because this goes through 2020. I don't have the latest numbers yet, but from 2013 to 2020, I can tell you it's gotten worse since then, but I don't want to quote wrong numbers. So I'm going to give you those numbers. In that time period in Florida, insurance companies had paid out over $15 billion. And 72% of that went to attorney's fees.
Wow. Nothing to do with the property, nothing to do with the insurance or the homeowner itself. It was padding, or not padding, but going to the pockets of attorneys. And if I'm not mistaken, a lot of that was because of the assignment of benefits, right? I know that was a big deal for us on the real estate side of it. And then you all on the insurance side as well. And when we have things like that, and then the potential for hurricanes coming, I know you mentioned earlier these rates doubling, increasing significantly, right? So this could have a number of impacts, right? Number one is if you're looking at purchasing a home, right? We have to have that anticipated insurance rate, what's going to be done. But then if you already have home ownership and you own a property and your rate increases, I know some of your clients have had to make hard decisions, right? As far as, do we stay with this carrier? Because usually we think, right, if we stay with our carrier for a number of years, we're going to get discounts. We're going to do everything we can, like the good driver discount. But it sounds like it's at the point where the insurance carriers, they don't have much choice because there's no margin there. Is that so? Could you just talk about a little bit about the increases that we're seeing in the premiums and everything that you guys are experiencing?
Yes, sir. Exactly right. Premiums are like so I had a senior citizen as an example. Their insurance premium went up to $11,800. And this is on a $200,000 value that were coverage on the home. I mean, just terrible, terrible. Like I can't imagine having to pay that, and then much less somebody who's on a fixed income. And yeah, so the rates are crazy, and there doesn't seem to be any relief in sight in the short term. They continue to go up. And but we're hoping, and by the way, if there's anything, I don't want to get too political, because that everybody has an opinion about that. But what I would say that we all could do is to reach out to our representatives. They're going to have another session, and the word is that they might even have to call another special session before the year is out, because it needs to be addressed. And so if anything that we could do, Neal, it would be to reach out to our politicians, reach out to our representatives, and ask them to address this situation, because there's still more. And the main issue is litigation. That is really the main issue. And so we want to ask them to address this issue of litigation. And I think your listeners probably need to know why that is a problem. There in Florida, we have a thing, it's called one-way attorney fees. It was put there to protect the consumer. If a consumer sues the insurance company or the big banks and they lose, they don't have to pay for the attorney's fees. And so that was put into place to help protect the small consumer, the homeowner, to not be afraid to go against the big insurance companies or the big banks. And so what's happening is they're using that against the insurance companies. And so as you can appreciate, they're just filing files. That one firm was reported to have filed 2,000 files of litigation. One firm, 2,000. And so they've just found that the more files that they can put up there, if you're an insurance company, do you want to spend more attorney's fees fighting these things? And in the end result, whether you win or lose, you still have to pay for the attorney's fees, right? And so they're using this against the companies. And so that's why it has become a big issue. So one of the things that needs to be addressed is that one-way attorney's fees. Let them have some skin in the game, in other words. So that's one thing that we could do. Now, on a practical basis, by all means, you can reach out to your current agent. You can reach out to an independent agent like myself or another insurance agent, let's say, to get some comparison. I can tell you many a times, I tell people, listen, what you have is providing you with the best value right now. I know it's gone up quite a bit, but it's best for you to hold on to that because there's not much better out there for you right now. Or maybe by chance we can get something for them that is better. But because of the way the market is right now, the carriers that are writing are limiting what they're writing, and a lot of them are not writing at all. Wow. And so it's a challenge. Now, there are a couple of companies that have announced that they are going to start writing in Florida. There's a new company that's been formed, two new companies that has been formed recently. And I think the good thing for them is that they can start with the new form. So already assignment of benefits, it's out, and whatever other information from the property bill that was passed, they can now include that in their current forms, right? And so they have the benefit of that. And there are those two companies that are taking policies out of Citizens, and they're also going to be writing voluntarily new business. And so we're hoping that we'll start to see more of that happening as we go along. That will be slow because the carriers are really, they're not at a place just yet where they are seeing the relief that they need to see in order for it to be viable.
Thank you for that. Now, there's something that you and I, we had the experience a couple of weeks ago where it's not always the carrier or the insurance provider. Sometimes it's the individual, the homeowner's agent, right? So this is something I think that is important for our listeners to understand as well. Their agent might not be their carrier, correct? They might not even work for the carrier. And I know that was the experience of someone that contacted me, and I was able to get them over to you because he did not say that he had bad insurance, that he was upset with the carrier. He was like, my agent is not um, up to the standard. So, could you just talk about what is the role of an agent when it comes to the insurance carrier provider? I know you talked about you can help them shop, but and this isn't just for you, but I believe our listeners want to be educated. What are the things that a good agent will do? I know one of them is going to be respond to you and then look for discounts, some things on a yearly basis. But also, what is the agent's role when it comes to the relationship with the insurance provider, insurance carrier, and the homeowner?
That's a really good question. And that's really, it's just like, it's so I could ask you a similar question in regards to a real estate agent, right? So clearly there are things that separate one from the other.
Mhm.
And so one is, to sort of be that trusted advisor. Especially, see, you think about, property insurance. It works in car insurance and business insurance too, all insurance, like if, a lot of times people don't know what coverages should I have, what risks do I face, why is it costing me so much, what are the factors that are involved there, and then what can I do to maybe mitigate those factors.
Mhm.
So you're looking for somebody who can be your trusted advisor, somebody who's going to look out for your best interests in a professional manner, give you the guidance that you need, even if they don't have all the answers. They can say so and go and do research and find out for you so that they can come to you and help you to understand what your need is, what you're faced with, and how you can solve that. And then the various options, so you can get different levels of protection to take care of your need also. Insurance is all about managing risk. So some people might be willing to take more risk than others, for example. And so somebody can help you to kind of customize your coverages to your risk level. So that's one thing. Clearly, it's about relationships too. I
Mhm.
think, you want to that. So what we propose, and we work with clients who appreciate having a long-term relationship, somebody you can get to know, like, and trust. And so you don't have to think twice about picking up the phone. One of the benefits of what we do, for example, one of the reasons why I like what I do is because I get to experience my clients having their new baby, or having their new son or daughter getting their driver's license, or graduating from college, or we get to experience them, buying the vacation home or starting the business, and so on. In other words, as life experiences happen, you want somebody who's going to be there, that trusted advisor, to be there to also share that with you. That's the part that I like. And then also to help make the adjustments to your coverages according to the changes that are happening in your life.
Now,
Um,
hold on, Robin, right there. I know how long you've been in the industry. And so when you say that, just think about how many children you've seen born that you have also seen graduate, right?
yeah,
And with your clients. And then where maybe the first time you met your clients, they were getting renters insurance. And then they've gotten the first time starter home. And then they had the move up home and the vacation and the number of vehicles they've done. It's a pretty cool thing when you think about the long-term relationships we have and we're
really
there.
is.
And then you talk to them and say, hey, what's going on? Just want to check in with you. Be like, hey, they graduated. And you were like, who graduated? You have a baby. They were like, yeah, that was 17 years ago. Right. So
That's
so that's
exactly right.
always good.
Yeah. And it's just, you see that too in your world. So
Mhm.
I know that you relate to that, and that is, there's very few professions that actually allow that. And we certainly do in yours and mine. And yes, that's what it's all about, what you described. I think, you know, you also, people want to have somebody that can be there to guide them through the claims process. So I think, you know, with insurance, unfortunately, oftentimes you're paying for something that you don't want to use. You don't want to have to use. But when you are in that position where you need to use it, I think you want somebody to come beside you and help kind of guide you through that process. So that's what you want to look for in your agent as well. So those are some of the highlights, I think, that come to me. If we drill down a little bit, obviously this will be the same for your profession, for any profession. You want somebody who is going to be continuing to learn and grow and develop, right? So they're intentional and they're investing in their growth and the growth of their team and team members and so on, right? Somebody who's going to stay with technology and provide the latest technology that would allow the customer to be able to do business the way they want to do business. I think a lot of those little things make a big difference today also. I know for a fact that if I don't keep up with those things, then my company might not be around a few years down the road.
Absolutely.
And so you're looking for that in an agent also.
Good stuff.
It's a
So
great
yeah, I guess
question.
to close us out, because you talked about our industries, right? And I know we're going to have some end users, owners, buyers watching this, but we're also going to have some real estate professionals. And so I'm always curious, right? How can I provide better service, whether it's learning the real estate market, the types of properties, interest rates, getting an idea of that. But when it comes to the insurance industry and then just the home buying, or even having conversations with my past clients who own properties now, is there something that me as a real estate professional that I can do to really add more value, or even early on in the process to help my potential buyers out when it comes to home ownership and insurance as a whole, not just property, maybe automobile insurance? Is there something that I can do that makes me look good, especially in this market that we're entering right now?
Wow. Well, I think you're doing it right now, right? So you asked me to join you, for example, on this call today, and you're doing this with your customers in mind and your sphere of influence in mind. And I think that's one of the things that realtors can do, is to get educated around it and then also help spread the word. We have done a poor job, insurance, we have done a poor job of helping people to understand what they're dealing with. This has been happening and we've been talking about it, but we haven't done a good enough job of helping people to really understand what they're faced with, understanding what they're faced with here. And so I think that's one thing you can do, and you're doing it now, Neal, is helping to educate people about it. And so you want people to understand, hey, listen, insurance companies are for-profit organizations, and we as policy holders. I'm a homeowner too. I'm a policy holder. My policy doubled also. I had one of the companies that went out of business too, Neal, and so we had to rewrite a policy, and our policy ended up being just over 2 times what we were paying before. And so all of us as homeowners need to understand that, if somebody comes knocking on your door telling you they can get you all this stuff, a new roof, a new kitchen, a new bathroom, in most cases, they're trying to use the insurance policy as maintenance. And then they're taking advantage of that situation. So just be aware. And for folks who are listening to me, you have the insurance, and insurance should pay out in the event that you have a legitimate claim. But what has been happening oftentimes is that they're trying to get the insurance to become a maintenance policy. So you have a roof that is 25 years old, that is almost at its dying, it's done, and they're trying to get the insurance company to replace that roof now because it's worn down. The policy is not designed for that. It's designed for if you have a hurricane or a fire that destroys your roof or damages your roof, then the insurance company can pay towards repairing or replacing that. But if the roof wears down over time, that's something that a homeowner just has to plan for replacing their roof. Absolutely. And if the insurance companies are are paying for that, then what's going to happen is that's going to be passed along, and the insurance premiums are going to go crazy, or companies are going to go out of business, or they're going to change the policies. So for example, with roofs, one of the things that's on the table is where they're going to have the option to replace the roof or pay for the depreciated value of the roof. You know, you and I know about with water damage, one of the things that they have now, 90% of the carriers have a sublimit for water damage, and it's usually $10,000. So there's a limitation now that's been put on policies because that's an area that these third parties were targeting. The other thing that I would say, and this is all about the education, I'm just highlighting on some of the points. The other thing I would say is give your insurance company the chance to make you right first. You know, there are third parties out there that are suggesting that the only way that you're going to be made whole is by going through them. Yeah. And then, by the way, they collect 30% of what gets paid out, right? And oftentimes they are in cahoots with the attorneys, and those are the ones that actually ended up being padded a significant amount. No, I have to stop and just say, just like insurance agents, just like realtors, there's not you know, not all bad apples, right? So there are some people in that marketplace that are causing those type of problems. So I think it's just knowing, just understanding what's happening here, how it's happening. And so then, you know, you can also spread the word. You listeners who are listening to me and Neal today, share with your neighbor. You're going to hear your neighbor saying that somebody knocked on their door and they're considering whether they should do this or do that, and help them to understand that, you know, hey, if it's a legitimate thing, by all means, go right ahead. You know, and perhaps even call the insurance company directly first. If the insurance company doesn't take care of you properly, then you can get a third party involved, you know? So it's things like that, helping people to understand what's happening. And now, then there's things we can drill down on, Neal, that I don't think we have the time for them today, but there are things you can drill down in terms of doing to your home, you know, like with storm shutters or wind mitigation, or, you know, different things like that people can do to help to sort of manage the risk exposure.
And that's what I was going to say. That's what we're going to give them some tips on our next video, our next meeting, just the right way to do things, and then maybe some times of year that they could do it, so that they can actually see a bigger benefit, a bigger reduction, when to write, when not to, when to get, you know, things such as roofs, types of doors, storm shutters, and such. So first of all, Robin, brother, I want to tell you it is always a treat. It's always a treat and a half, in fact, anytime I can get some of your time and some of your knowledge shared. And thank you for allowing me to record this. So that's one of the beauties of technology. I was like, hey, Robin, let's jump on a Zoom and we're going to record a conversation that we have, because what the people don't know is that this really is just a Robin educating Neal session. So every question that I had is stuff that I wanted to know, and we just let the people listen in. And then I just want to thank you, as I always do, for being a leader worth following. I saw you speaking at the Rotary Club, sharing knowledge. Every time I look up, you're in front of an audience, getting the word out. So while the industry might not be doing as great a job, and while you might not be doing as great a job as you would like, I do thank you and appreciate the fact that you're doing things like going to different organizations, meeting here with me today to get the word out, because ultimately all of us are impacted by what happens with insurance, even those people who don't own. Maybe those young people who are still living with their parents don't understand the value, the impact that insurance is going to play in their life in the coming future. But we just thank you. I thank you. I love you, sir. Thanks for being a friend, a brother, a mentor. And I just can't wait to see the good things that come as a result to not only the industry, your business, but to you personally, sir. So thank you for your time today.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you. And we are in it together, as you said. And so I appreciate you and your desire to not only learn this, but also to help others to learn this, because in the long run, everybody benefits from that. And I love your heart in terms of how you like to give and share information. You have nothing to gain from it other than you wanting people to, to learn, to grow, and to benefit from it. And so thank you. I'm glad to be a part of what you're doing, Neal. One thing I just want to mention real quick, and we can talk about it next time too, but I also want, could not leave this out of today's conversation. Something that's also affecting not just the home insurance, but the car insurance as well, is the inflation that we're all experiencing. So car parts are going up, and supply is limited. Construction costs, windows, doors, everything is a lot higher now than what it was. And so that's affecting what's being paid out also. So unfortunately, inflation is also adding to all the other things that we spoke about today. So just for everybody to be aware of that. I heard a friend, somebody who works in the insurance industry, for example, their car got in an accident in February, and just last week they just finally got their car back from the repair. And so that's a big factor today. And so as a result, that costs more. Just the mere fact that somebody's without their car for so long, that in and of itself costs more. Plus the cost of the parts and the work and so on. So just be aware of that. That's a factor also. It is affecting insurance.
Thank you for reminding us of that. For everyone who's watching this episode right here, I want to say thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for trusting Robin and I to impart some knowledge, some wisdom, some experience to you all. Make sure that you reach out to Robin with any insurance question that you might have. I'm here for you for all of your real estate needs. We're not hard to find if you're looking for the best. I'm just going to put it right there. We love you. God loves you. There's nothing that you can do about it. Until the next time we see you or you see us, don't be average, be world renowned. Take care. Peace.
Right on.